There is an exhausting feeling that follows many of us into adulthood, the sense of being perpetually stuck. You scan the room, waiting for a guide or a relationship to finally arrive and fix the life you're living. Attachment theory suggests this isn't a character flaw. This state of waiting, the constant scanning and managing of expectations, is a biological survival mechanism wired into our nervous systems from birth. In early infancy, staying close to an external attachment figure was your only biological guarantee of safety. Because a child cannot survive alone, your brain prioritized proximity to a caregiver above almost everything else. Over time, these early interactions solidify into an internal working model. It serves as a psychological blueprint, dictating how you expect the world to treat you for the rest of your life. The adult feeling of waiting for a savior is simply that childhood survival system running on an outdated loop. You had to wait for a savior in the past because at the time you were a child. But we have to look at what happens when this survival system develops inside an environment where that external figure is emotionally absent. Clinicians define this as developmental trauma. It isn't usually caused by a single event, but by chronic relational patterns, the persistent absence of attunement and emotional safety. Dr. Susan Forward describes the toxicity of inadequate parenting as the damage of omission. It is the psychological harm caused by what didn't happen, the soothing that never arrived, and the needs that were met with silence. This creates a missing demo. Expecting an adult to self-soothe when they were never modeled warmth is like asking someone to play a piano concerto without ever being shown where to place their hands. We carry this gap into our adult lives, exhausting ourselves by seeking those missing parental figures in our partners, or our bosses, and our friends. Waiting for an external savior becomes a tragic trap, because we are unconsciously demanding that the present retroactively fill a deficit that belongs to the past. Moving forward requires a difficult realization. The savior is a myth, and no one is coming to resolve those early deficits for you. This introduces a both-and reality. You are not responsible for the developmental gaps left by your caregivers, but you hold the sole agency to fill them now. Therapist John Bradshaw describes this process as reparenting. It is a therapeutic method of stepping in as the loving, protective parent you originally needed. The wellness industry often flattens this process into bubble baths and positive affirmations. Those are distractions from the actual clinical work of providing the nervous system with the safety it was denied. Reparenting is a deliberate and repetitive clinical process. It involves consistently providing yourself with the emotional experiences, like attunement and repair after a rupture, that were missing in early development. Healing is not about fixing a personality. It is the architectural task of building the internal structures that your environment skipped. Schema therapy provides the clinical blueprint for how to systematically build these missing structures within the psyche. The goal is constructing an internal, healthy adult mode to actively parent your vulnerable child parts. Its first function, self-mothering, fosters compassion and permission to feel. The second, self-fathering, provides firm boundaries and active protection against your inner critic. In real time, these two functions work together to intercept old coping mechanisms the moment a trauma is triggered, keeping the interning child safe. A fully formed, healthy adult mode creates an internal home base where self-compassion and self-protection finally coexist. Building this internal system doesn't have to be done in total isolation. This is where co-regulation becomes essential. A professional therapist can temporarily lend you their stable nervous system to help you stabilize your own while you build these new internal muscles. While professionals provide the scaffolding, the actual integration and long-term shift can only be maintained by you. Realizing that nobody is coming to fix me is not an act of abandonment. It's the threshold where waiting stops and autonomy begins. You no longer have to contort your identity or abandon your own needs just to earn a rescue from someone else. The capacity to provide safety, attunement, and emotional repair already exists within your own architecture. You are already equipped for the job. The end of waiting for a savior is the exact moment you claim the freedom to become your own.